Hi, it's Ileana here at Awakening Cosmic Reality Show, and today I have with us Kimberly Palm, Victoria Reynolds, and Sherri Divband, and we're doing a show on Ascension and current events and what's going on Earth, and we're going to be sharing our expertise. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
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 Hi, everybody.
Hello. Would you like to take a turn each to introduce yourself and what you do?
Sure. I guess I can go first. So my name is Kimberly Palm. I'm a spiritual teacher and spiritual advisor and guide for people on their journey, basically anybody who's a spiritual seeker. I'm also an energy healer and certified meditation and mindfulness instructor, and also the author of the best-selling book Ascension 101, A Roadmap for Your Soul.
Very nice. Victoria?
Hi, I'm Victoria Reynolds. I am a spiritual luminary and an author of 4 books. I also, like Kimberly, I work with individuals. My primary focus is on helping people process their pain stories, process the stories from their past, and healing their broken hearts. And that is my area of expertise. And then I also have a couple of YouTube shows as well that I'm a part of.
Wonderful. Sherri?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. My name is Sherri Divband, and I'm an intuitive energy healer, author of a couple books, and I just started a children's center, Divinely Guided Children, and it's all about spiritual awareness for children all over the world with different classes and support groups. So that's something I'm really excited about. So thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. And I'm Ileana. I am an energy healer. I am a psychic, and I'm also a spiritual teacher. So I do psychic readings, energy healing. I do psychic courses as well. And I'm also a YouTube show host with Awakening Cosmic Reality Show. And I have a book out called Crystal Grids, The Art of Healing with Crystals, because I also do crystal healing. So that's my background. So ladies, the floor is open. Who'd like to start?
Ooh.
So, actually, I wouldn't mind starting only because I was late coming to this meeting today because of crazy psychotic things happening in my life. And when I say crazy psychotic, I mean every bad thing in the last couple days that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong. Things like my water heater breaking. It's a brand new water heater, brand spanking new. It's guaranteed for 12 plus years, suddenly quit and broke, and it's fuming, smelly, chemical burning smells and all kinds of no hot water. I had some family issues. I had some friend issues. I've had our internet broke down. Our internet's not working. We're in a war right now with the internet company, and it all of these things. And it's not just that, it's a whole mirage of things all happening literally within 1 week's time, and mainly in the last few days, the last several days. And then last wee hours of the morning, I had a health crisis that was very unusual for me, not the kind of thing I would normally have happen to me unless I had the flu or some horrible, it was just a really unusual kind of thing. So I'm looking at this from an energetic perspective and going, what the hell is going on this planet right now? There's some kind of major energy shifts and things happening because my life doesn't typically go this way. Yes, I have bad things happen to me in my life, just like any other person, but not 20 of them all at the same time within a few days, of each other, which tells me that it's something going on in the universe and the earth, with the earth. It's not me. It's not about me. It's about something happening. So my question for all of you today is, what do you see happening with the shifting of the energy, and what do you feel is happening literally right now? Because there's obviously, besides the fact we know that there are solar blasts hitting the earth right now, we know that. We know the Schumann resonance is going crazy, but what beyond that is happening? Because there's something happening. I'm also noticing time shifts. I've actually had timeline shifts happening to me several times recently, and I'm sitting here and shaking my head and going, what the heck is happening? So I kind of want to sound off of, I want to hear from you all. What do you see? What are you feeling? What are you hearing? What are you experiencing right now in regards to all these crazy things happening?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk. I'm feeling it as well, and we had a lot of a series of negative events. We got our 16-year-old son a car, and it was stolen, like right away. And then my husband's car was sideswiped, and we had to put our dog to sleep a couple days ago. It was just like a series of negative things, just one after another. And then my mom's cat ended up in the hospital a few days ago. I mean, it's just like a lot of different things. And I was thinking the same thing, what is going on? Because this is targeting children too, and adults. And it's not just, it's not just me. And, I have felt a lot of negativity, and it's like all of this negative energy or these entities or collection of just surfacing. And they're looking for avenues to attach to and to be destructive, because there's a lot of anger on the earth right now, and it's perpetuated by angry people, but also the energy itself. And so I think that there's just a lot of that right now that's just very dense, and it's affecting a lot of different people in a lot of different places. And the children are feeling it too. And because I've been working a lot with the kids and doing energy sessions with parents and children just in the last few weeks. And the parents are telling me, my child is just something is wrong. They're acting out. They're not acting like themselves. They are not sleeping well. They're having temper tantrums, and they never did before. And it's just, I feel collectively, the collective consciousness is shifting in a lot of positive ways, but I feel like there's a lot of negativity as well. And we're trying to navigate through that. And it's just more challenging, I think, for some more than others. And it's just one of those things that I think is just working its way through this time frame right now, and hopefully it doesn't last that long. But that's kind of what's been happening in my area. That's similar to yours, Kimberly.
Wow. Have you noticed that people who are what I call third density, and also just people who are asleep, who are kind of already angry or frustrated, are getting amplified version of that? Because my people around me in my life here who are asleep, they're not awake, are horrifically angry right now, like over the top, like abnormally angry. I can't even go near them, or they chew my head off immediately. They're just like losing their, they're really losing it. And again, this is some energetic thing that's happening. So much anger in the collective. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So my sense with both of you, the feeling that I was getting is that you're seeing in your own lives a microcosm of what's happening on the macrocosm. And you're both in tune enough to recognize that. The message that came in this morning, I sat this morning with some of the guardians, and one who has started working with me recently is Archangel Fanuel, who I had never heard of before until a few weeks ago. And he's becoming very present on the planet now. And he is an archangel aligned with destruction. So a lot of people don't like communicating with him because he's a destroyer. He's one of the 4 archangels of the Ascension, if you will. So his role is to help with the collapse of the old system so that we can build new ones. So he's here helping to destroy old systems. So what, as the two of you are both talking, what I was sensing was, that's what it looks like in a microcosm level.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. A lot of old systems breaking down and new ones starting to manifest, and a lot of people are in that in-between state trying to figure out, what's what. The reality has shifted, and the angry people are more angry, and then the people that are more at peace in a higher density are having more of an awareness of it, and looking at other people and noticing their shifts and noticing these subtle changes, because it can be disconcerting for those that have no idea that anything is going on or what is going on exactly.
Yeah, and it's going to get worse. So those people who don't know what's going on, it can get to the point where it'll be literally terrifying for them because they have no idea. Yeah. The collapse is actually good for them. So it's up to those of us who recognize that to help them through it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to keep a very positive polarity frequency. When I have negative things happen around me or to me or somebody else, I just try to not react in the moment, and I just try to work through it because things happen in life. We know that this planet shifts from 3D to 5D, so it's about working with the vibrations and trying to work with a positive polarity no matter what. For example, my cat is throwing up every couple of days. We don't know why. We've been to the vet. She gets decent food. She's taken care of, but it happens. So we're just being very compassionate and loving to this beautiful creature that's with us. And she's good during the day, not so good at night or in the morning. She cries, she vomits for no reason. We don't know. So she needs a lot of love and care. So we're there for her because she's part of our family. She's a child. She's our child. So we just do the best we can and love her and support her. She is almost 9, so it could be something with digestive tract, and I do energy healing on her. But love and compassion and support is so important for people right now, to be there for others, for our humans and our animals, and just to support each other and offer healing and advice. Just be present however much you can for people with love and care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the love and care component is really important because there's a lot of anger out there, even in the community of the truth seekers. I see on the YouTube channels that I'm a part of, and the comments, people are just really angry, and they're losing hope, and so they're latching on to any dates or any information that they get. And I noticed that their demeanor is more third dimensional, like in the sense that they are, instead of having compassion and love for their family and friends who are still asleep, there's anger and resentment and judgment. And I've been trying to talk a lot about that in my videos, that you can't judge those people. The best thing you can do for them, although you're frustrated and wish that they were kind of aligning or resonating with what you are feeling right now, your judgment towards them, your anger, your frustration is only contributing to the collective fear and anger that's already there. And we have to really look at those people with love, compassion, empathy, and say, well, everyone's on their own journey at their own pace, and we have to just support them. And that's really hard for a lot of people to do, to just blindly say, I give myself and support to you no matter what, instead of saying, I can't wait till things come out so I could say, I told you so. I hear that all the time. And I say, for what? You told them so. You told them what? Exactly. Because what happens when everybody finds out the truth, then you need to have even more compassion for them, right? Because then they're going to feel like their world is upside down, and they're going to need your support more than ever, not your judgment and not your I told you so. So I feel like a lot of that is going on right now, which really is a testament on those people who really are in a higher density versus those that claim they are.
That's vindictive, isn't it? Wouldn't you consider that vindictive behavior, that I told you so? For me, it's like, I can't wait for my family to wake up just because I want to protect them, because I don't want them to get the jabs and they want to get them. And so I want them to wake up before they have the chance to get them, because I want to save their lives. But I also want them to wake up so that they're on the same sheet of paper with me, so we all get along better. And that's all I care about. I just want peace in my family. And so for me, that's the prime directive, is creating peace in my family. And it's not about, I told you so. I told you. I mean, I'm not going to say that when my family does wake up, because I know it's going to happen. It's going to be all about me, being compassionate with them and understanding and really loving on them a lot, and really explaining to them why things are happening the way they are, and what the history and the backstory is, and really helping them through it. And I'm going to be fully focused on that, not focused on the vindictive thing of I told you so, I told you so. And somebody made a video about that. They made a song, I told you so. And it's kind of vindictive. It's not very fifth density behavior.
It's not.
Yeah, and the very few, I'll say very few, but a lot of the people who are awake with regard to information are not spiritually awake. Mm-hmm. And they, as I've said many times before, we're in the middle of two different awakenings. We have a spiritual awakening happening, and we also have this information awakening happening.
Right.
And the people who are both, not that we're any better than anybody else, of course, just that we woke up first so that we can assist the rest of humanity through the process. It's not an egoic thing at all. Yeah. The people that are saying, I told you so, they're stuck in ego. They want to go on defense, partly because human beings don't like being attacked, and they've been attacked for so long, as you know, all the different names that the more information awake people have been called. But that isn't spiritually awakened. That's the ego trying to go into self-defense. The reason I want people to wake up is because I want all of humanity to know what it feels like to live in this incredible world that we get to live in when we're spiritually awake.
Yeah.
I want everyone on the planet to experience what it's like to be in that level of joy and bliss and peace. Not just my own personal family, my own personal family is completely asleep as well, but I want the entire human family to experience that. I have no interest in I told you so. My whole thing is, great, and now that you understand, let's go. Yeah. Let's get busy.
Right?
Let's get to work.
I love that.
I feel like people for so long, even their entire lives, they've been in that pre-programmed state of being asleep. So I don't think a lot of people even fathom what it feels like to be, as you're saying, Victoria, you know, at peace, you know, having faith, living in the love vibration, having compassion and empathy for others, and wanting to assist and help others. Like, what does that feel like? Because some people, I don't think, even recognize it. They long for it, but then they get so complacent and comfortable in their in their little box that they've, you know, their vibration, instead of box, let's say the vibration that they've been captivated in, that they don't even know what it's like or could be like to get out of it. So they say, I just want to stay here. And and I'm saying that because that's what's happening a lot with the people in my area. You know, I'm lucky because the people in my family that I'm the closest with are awake, but I have a lot that are not. And I don't wish to argue with them anymore. And if they want to get jabs, then I can't, you know, I just can't do it. And I can't worry about them anymore. I can't stay up at night anymore worrying about them. I just have to let them drive their own vehicles in their own journey and let them do what it is that they feel is right, and just pray for them. Like, that's what I've switched to recently. You know, I'm praying in my mind. I'm not telling them I'm praying for them, but you know, I don't want to insult them. But in my mind, I really am. I'm like, I pray for you. You know, please send your guardian angels around you. I hope you don't get sick when you get that vaccine. You know, like. But I have to take that, what's the word I'm trying to think of, that guilt or that burden. I have to take that burden off myself because it was too much for me. And I think that's the biggest lesson I have learned as being an empath this past year, is taking the burden off. And I feel so much lighter. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just, people often ask me, what is your opinion about the jabs? Are you going to do it or not? I'm like, no, I'm not doing it because I have autoimmune issues. So I've had jab injuries before because of jabs. So my personal experience, I'm not doing the jab for what's currently going on. And I had no plans before for it. But I tell people, you know, it's your own body, it's your own free will choice. If you feel like you want to do it, that's your business. I'm not going to tell you what to do or how to do it, because I'm not here to try to enable you to do something that you need to make a life decision on. So I'm very neutral about advice. If people ask me, should I do it or should I not? I say, it's up to you. You're having a human experience. So it is your sole choice what you do or you don't do. I will support you no matter what you do, because I'm a friend, I'm a teacher, I'm whatever I am to the person. I will always respect and honor their life choices. I don't interfere in people's decisions. I could say, you know, I've heard this or that about these jabs, what could be the side effects, the consequences, but it's ultimately up to you what choice you make with those decisions concerning your body and your health. I don't tell people what to do or not to do. I don't interfere with the soul growth cycle of a person.
Yeah, and ultimately we don't know what their path is, so we can't control another person's path, nor that comes down to our interfering with their free will choice, which is where those of us who are aware that that's the prime directive on our planet won't interfere with that. The important thing is that we are able to continue free will choice. That's where a lot of people get concerned, whether the jabs continue to be a choice or not. So for me, it's about focusing on the freedom to choose more than anything else.
Yeah.
And there's a question for us from the audience. How do we help targeted individuals who are alone and have nobody to help them in life? They feel targeted by their directed energy weapons, by beams, by all kinds of energy from the planet and other people. So how would we help those types of people?
Do you mind if I interject here? Okay. So one of the things that I do a lot with my clients is really teaching them how to protect themselves. Like I have a 3-step protection prayer I give all my clients that they say first thing in the morning. That basically asking God and Archangel Michael for specific protection layers to be placed around them, like an armor, basically. And also using black tourmaline and selenite crystal around their home and carrying it with them wherever they go, because a lot of people are, especially star seeds, are all empathic, and we take on the energies of all the negative energy vampire people and all the third density fear-based people. And so it's really important to kind of protect yourself. It's also important for you, if you're all alone, to go onto social media and join a group like mine. I have a group called Spiritual Growth Journeys on Facebook. I think that Victoria has a group. I don't know if Sherri, if you have a group, and Ileana, I don't know if you have a group, but I think a lot of us have these special groups, and mine is a safe place. Mine and Victoria's are a safe place where you can go to basically post, and people aren't going to judge you. They're not going to hate on you. They're going to be compassionate because it's all like-minded sisters and brothers who are awake. So I think that the biggest part when you're alone is seeking out your tribe. You really need to have support. You really can't do it alone. That's the problem, is a lot of people are trying to be a lone wolf, and trying to be a lone wolf is not going to work in the future anymore, now or in the future. You need to, because I felt all alone and isolated, even though I have family. My family is all against me. They're not on my same sheet of paper. So I sought out like-minded sisters and brothers through social media, through my group, through my page, through my YouTube channel. And I have like a family, like the star family, basically all these star seeds and earth angel friends now that I'm able to talk to and to have conversations with and to share information with and feel supported, because you need to have something to support you. You need that net of love and support. And it's also important to know that you're never really truly alone. Even if you think you're alone, you're never alone. You have guides and angels. It's every person is born with the whole team, like a whole advising and support and protection team. So you have them, you have God, you have Christ consciousness, you have a lot of beings who love you. You have star beings that are here. You have all these different beings that are here on the earth, helping people and guiding people and supporting people. So it's really important for people to understand that they're never really truly alone, even though they think they are. So that's important too.
Mm-hmm. And learning also to block these negative energies, like energy directed weapons. If you hear frequencies, you have to learn how to tune them out with your brain, with your heart, and with your ears. Like tone it down. Like even say to your higher self, to your higher vibration, whoever is protecting you, can you please tone this down? Can you remove the targeting? I don't want to be a targeted individual. This is not my life path. This is not my sole purpose. Dear God, can you please remove this? Can you please protect me? Can you please put energy shields around me? Can you heal me so I'm not suffering as a targeted individual? Even having a prayer mantra really helps because the beings hear you. Whoever is your protector does hear you. So they're there to help us and to not be targeted individuals.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm a very visual person, and so I'm big on asking God, and I work a lot with Archangel Michael, asking him to surround me with a triple light of protection and also the violet flame. I do that for myself every single day and my children every single day. And I'm big on crystals as well. And Kimberly, the exact same ones she always talks about are the same ones I tell my clients to use as well. And finding your tribe is huge. you know, a lot of people struggle and they're alone, and I have emails from my clients all the time. You know, I'm the only one in my family, and I don't have anyone to talk to. And I say, find your resources, find meetup groups, I don't have a Facebook page directed like yours and Kimberly and Victoria. Mine is for the kids network and parents. But finding yours and podcasts that like such as this one, where they can hear people like us talk about different topics and things that can get them through, raising their vibration, eating good food, reading good books. That's I recommended. I can't tell you how many times, Kimberly, but I've recommended your book at least a dozen times.
Thank you.
So much good feedback, as if I wrote it, but you know, they're letting me know how much they like it. And so, you know, finding resources and books to help you learn more about spirituality and what it means to call upon guides and your angels and people reclaiming their power. Because I always tell people, you know, you're a lot more powerful than you think you are. You know, you don't need to find a guru. You don't need to find a priest. You don't need anybody. You have everything you need within yourself, and you're
Exactly.
into source. And to claim that power back, and you protect yourself, and you call upon guidance, and any information anybody ever needs, all they have to do is tap into a higher awareness, and they will get anything that they need to know, at least the right guidance that they need. They may not get the life questions about what's going to happen in politics and those, because that's ever changing, right? The timelines are shifting. But at least the guidance that you need for yourself in that moment, and how to protect yourself, we all are equipped with that. That knowing. It's just a matter of trusting it. And that's where a lot of people fall short. They don't trust it, or they don't think that they can. They always ask me, Sherri, how can I do what you do? I don't do anything special. I'm not special. I work at it. I believe. My intention is that I claim my power, and I believe. And that's a lot of people just have to take that first step and believe that they can, you know, because they've been programmed to believe that they cannot. And so, I guess that's my 2 cents.
The other thing I want to add really quick is with regard to the feeling attacked is I also, like Sherri, when my kids were younger, I put protection around them every day before I sent them to school. And I could tell the difference on the days that I didn't put the bubble around them, the quality of their day. The other thing that I do is I put protection around my home as well, so that nothing that isn't of the light isn't even allowed in my home. I even have a sign on my door that says only love may enter here, so that nobody's even allowed in my house unless they're of a loving vibration. I make that very, very clear stipulation. So people can do that for themselves as well. They're putting the protection around themselves, and then put the protection around their homes, put the protection around their computers, their telephones, their TVs. Everything is under their domain, their umbrella of care. They can put protection around. And the more we protect ourselves, the less likely we are to be infiltrated by any of the dark energies. So I wanted to add that as well.
And then we have some questions from the audience. Can I put it out there? There's one for Sherri. How can I start a children's center in my area like yours, Sherri? It's very inspiring. So Sherri, can you answer that question?
Yeah, sure. I love that question. I just had an interview yesterday on Soul Cafe, and we were talking about that. And I was telling anybody watching, I said, any parents out there, anybody that's even not a parent that's inspired by what I'm doing, anybody can do this. All it takes is an idea and the intention, and you can manifest anything you want, and you can start small. So what are you good at? What can you teach? Or if you can't teach anything, all I did when I was ready, I put a Facebook post out and a couple different, I reached out to certain people in different networks. I said, who wants to help me with this? And I got overwhelming amount of, 30, 40 people reaching out. I want to teach yoga. I want to do this. So finding your group in your area that wants to support you. And I promise you, if your intention is there, it's easier than you think. Getting the website up. And if you don't have a physical location like I do in my area, then everything is done virtually through Zoom. So it's just all about designing the courses that you want, what you really think that the children need. You can go on my website. I don't believe in competition. People don't believe me, but I don't. Go on my website, copy the classes I have, use them. You know, whatever I'm offering, you offer too. And that's honestly, that's how you just have to start somewhere. I don't know if we have information in the descriptions, but whomever the question was from, you feel free to email me, and I'll give you some more pointers. But it's easier than you think. You just have to have the will. Because there's a lot of demand out there, and a lot of parents and children looking for resources, and so we need more than me providing that. So reach out to me.
Yeah, and I feel there's another question. I feel this is more, it's tagged to Sherri, but I feel it's more Victoria's question, if that's okay, Victoria.
Okay.
Will you share the difference between being like-minded and like-intentional? So both for Victoria and Sherri.
Oh, so I use the term like-hearted, which would be more like intentioned. So we're moving out of the 3D based reality, which is mental based, and moving into the 5D, which is heart based. So like-hearted, like-intentioned is it's more of using divine inspiration than like-minded. Where in the mind, we tend to go in there and try to figure things out. In intention and in the heart, we don't have to figure things out. It aligns on our behalf because the heart is aligned with the heart of God, if you will. And so the intentions that we create actually almost magnetize the resources directly into what it is that we want to create, rather than going into the mind and having to figure things out. So that's what I see our reality moving into, is more of that, and allowing rather than chasing, if that helps.
And what about you, Sherri?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I couldn't have said it better myself. Honestly, that was perfect. I think a lot of the challenging things people have when they're trying to manifest or put things out there is they want something, but inside they don't believe that they deserve it. And so they are, the vibration that they're putting out is coming back exactly what they're feeling they actually deserve. And so it's all about tapping into a higher awareness and telling yourself that you deserve more. And it's coming from that love center, not from ego. Because the ego is that part of you, that conscious mind that can convince you of anything, that you're not good enough, you don't deserve it. Or maybe you feel guilt because others don't have what you're asking for. And so, like Victoria said, we're moving out of that mind-centered focus and into a more higher awareness, high vibration thinking through your intuition.
Mm-hmm. And Kimberly, as well, can you chime in on this?
Okay, repeat the question again. Sorry, I got
It has to do with basically
the like intention, or I mean the like-minded versus the like intention, right? That question.
Yeah. Will you share the difference between being like-minded and like-intentional?
So for me, your intention is more of like a spiritual thing, and the minded might be you think alike, like maybe you like the same kind of politics, you like the same kind of religion, you have the same idea. Like if your spouse is like-minded, maybe you have the same ideas for how you're raising your children. Whereas the like intentional, I think, is a little bit more about what you put your intention on creating. It has to do more with a creative, like an action, how you're behaving in your life. Because when you're putting an intention on something, it's an action. It's kind of an action thing because you're trying to make something happen, or you're hoping something will happen, or you're wanting something to happen when you're focusing your intention on it. So I think that those are two different things. I think like-minded is more to do with your belief systems. It has to do with your mental belief systems on the subconscious level and the conscious level. And then the intentions are more of what am I intending to create? Like I will tell people that, when you're praying, prayer and intention are very similar, because I am putting an intention out that my family won't take the jab. Okay. Or I'm putting an intention out that something will happen that will prevent them from taking the jab. And it's the same as a prayer. So I think if you're like intentional, it's more of an action kind of thing. And honestly, if you're going to really truly get along with somebody 100%, you probably want them to be both like-minded and like intentional, because that means that they want for the same thing. They're putting their intention on the same idea. Like we all have an intention that we want world peace, for example. There's a difference between putting our intention together on that versus I have a belief that there is world peace, or I have a belief, you know what I mean? So like-minded is more about the brain. What's in your brain? What are you thinking? What are you believing? What, you know, whereas the intention is, what am I focusing my intention, my energy on? Where's my energy going to? It's much more of an action-based type of a thing. So that's, when I look at these things, I look at it from a very psychological standpoint, because I have some psych training from college, and I've been counseling people for 23 years. So because of that, I look at stuff from more of a, you know, a scientific kind of perspective of what's going on with that. So.
Yeah, and mine is like, I just vibrate with people who have beautiful souls, who have similar vibrational love frequencies, love energies, positive polarity vibration. That's kind of what I vibrate with in terms around me, people that are around me who I'm friends with, like-minded intentions, like what we're doing today. I'm very much in like-minded intentions with Victoria, Sherri, and Kimberly. So that's why we're doing this beautiful roundtable, because our vibrations are similar and we have similar experiences. So that's why we vibrate on this beautiful energy doing this today, as an example. Because the frequencies are aligning and we have some beautiful things to share. We do have another question. This is for everyone. There's a question, do the bracelets and cell phone holders that are supposed to help against 5G, that they have different properties in them, do those actually work to protect us against 5G if you buy bracelets or if you buy the cell phone holders or computer things?
So I've done a lot of research into it. I've actually written 2 books talking about that. And I've been researching, and I even teach it in my classes. I teach about energy protection in my classes. I'm about to do an energy medicine, energy healing workshop in March, and I'm going to be talking about it again. But there's a thing called a Faraday case that you can put your phone in, and that's the only thing that's going to thoroughly protect you from the phone. There's a clothing line called Lambs, and they have hats and underwear and shirts you can put on that are lined with silver, I believe, and that will thoroughly protect you from the 5G. But all of the little stick-on things, there's hundreds of these companies selling these stick-on devices, these necklaces, these scalar things, these wrist bracelet things. I just bought one recently and I spent a fortune on it, and I'm yet to see any kind of result from it. I have not yet been able to prove with my EMF detector or anything that any of this stuff works. So I'm kind of hesitant. Now, the things that I know that work are, there's a crystal called Carillion Shungite. It comes from Russia. There's only one place in the world, and that's the mine in Karelia in Russia. And that will totally protect you. I wear a Shungite necklace and a bracelet when I leave my house and I'm exposed to the cell towers, because I really believe that that is good at mitigating it. There are devices you can plug into your wall and put on your computer that are helpful. I have a thing, I can't show it to you because it's under my computer now, but it's actually a big pad thing. It's purple, and you put it under your computer. So when your laptop, so when you have it on your lap, the Wi-Fi and the radiation and all that cannot get into your body. Now that is all scientifically proven and lab tested and proven that it's true. But I am yet to see any third-party testing on all of these gadgets that are all over the internet that they're selling people. So my verdict is out to lunch right now. Like I don't have a verdict yet because I haven't been able to prove that they work. I have not seen any proof that they work. So the things that I can prove that work 100% is the Shungite, these purple things. Let's see what it's called. It's called Defender Pad. It's called a Defender Pad. And so people want to Google Defender Pad, and you put it under your laptop, and that will protect your body when you're on your laptop. You can get a Faraday cage case for your cell phone and put it in that. And you can also wear the Lambs, the hats, the knit hats, and they have underwear for men and women that you wear under clothing or t-shirts, and that will protect your body really well from the 5G EMFs. And those are 100% scientifically tested and proven without a doubt. So those are the things that I promote.
Yeah, I don't have much to contribute to the discussion because I don't have the science to back it up, but I speak highly of Shungite and I have it in all the rooms of my house. And I personally use that in my kids' rooms. I have the pyramids, the necklaces. So that's the only one I can really talk about.
Yeah, I've been curious about that. So thank you both for sharing.
Yeah.
I need to do some shopping.
I'm actually kind of obsessed with the subject. Thank you to whoever asked Ileana this question, because it's kind of an obsession with me, because I'm what's called HSP, hypersensitive. I'm sensitive to chemicals. I'm sensitive to negative energies. I'm sensitive to certain foods. I'm sensitive to everything that's negative on the planet. And so I've been kind of obsessed for the last, since cell phones came out, honestly, researching how to protect myself from these nasty things. So I've literally put a lot of hours of my time into researching this stuff, because I don't want it. I don't like it. My body doesn't feel good. I have a doctor's office that I go to locally in our community, and there's a 5G tower, a big cell tower right next to it. The minute I get to that location, I start to feel sick and dizzy. The minute I get into the building, I feel horrible. I can't wait to get the heck out and run home, because that tower is there. Anytime I go anywhere in a city where there's towers all over the place, Las Vegas is a place that makes me so sick. I went to Las Vegas about 3 years ago to speak in a conference. And I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, and there were still towers everywhere. And I was just dizzy the entire time I was there. Anytime I go anywhere where there's cell towers. So I'm sort of a little obsessed with constantly researching, how do I protect my body? How do I protect my children, my husband, my pets? There's devices you can put on your cat and your dog to protect them. It's very important to protect your pets too. So.
And from my experience, I pick up the vibrations of technology, like cell phones, computers, telephones, different types of lights. So if I buy something that the signal is not good, the signal is amplified, and I'm talking beyond 5G, I'm talking everyday electronic products, because we all have them: smartphones, TVs, computers, printers, tablets, iPads. So if I don't vibrate with the energy of that device, if the signal is too strong, I just return it or exchange it to something that has a higher vibration signal, because technology has electromagnetic frequencies and signals. So if something is making you sick physically that you own technology-wise, it's something brand new that you purchased, you can either return it or exchange it to something that will have a better signal polarity. Because not all technology is alike. It has different frequencies and signals, I know from personal experience. So I'm not afraid to go back to the store or to return it in exchange, or just to get a full refund if it doesn't vibrate with my body and my physicality. I've done it with lights. I've done it with phones. So if it just doesn't resonate frequency-wise, it's just not the right signal.
That makes sense. And I know, Ileana, that you've always been really into the technology, and wasn't your channel, your YouTube channel was very kind of devoted for a while to technological types of things. That's something that you've always been into.
Yeah, I'm a researcher, so I have memories of being in the secret space program, med beds, holographic medical pods, Meditech units, regeneration tanks. So that's all plasma technology that works on plasma, and it can heal anything in the body. It could be physical diseases, physical pain, emotional trauma, psychological things, neurological disorders. I get a lot of questions. What can these med beds heal? They can heal anything and everything. The trouble is they were so, it's hidden regenerative technology, so it's all classified. There's rumors that it might come here or it might not. I was told it would take 200 to 300 years for us to get it on Earth. So that's what I was told when I worked in those cybernetics labs. What do you ladies get from the energy about it?
I don't think it will take that long.
Yeah, I don't either.
So I just have to share with all of you, my husband actually used to sell a type of what would be considered a med bed now. About 10 years ago, a little bit more than that, maybe 12 years ago, he had the opportunity to sell med beds that were specific for replacing heart surgeries. They cleared out the heart, and they were Medicare approved. They had Medicare approval, which means that once something is Medicare approved, it means that all of the insurance companies are then able to pay for it because it has a Medicare approved number. So my husband was helping to build out these clinics that had the med beds. They were promoting them to cardiologists. And the person who created them, fortunately, was independently wealthy, so he didn't have to go to any of the funding programs to get it funded. But what happened is that, one, the doctors didn't want to promote it. They didn't want to send their patients to sit with these med beds because they would rather do surgery because there's so much more money in surgery. So he ended up, the person that my husband worked for ended up going out of business within a year of opening up his med bed clinics because the doctors didn't want to promote them.
Their service to self.
Technology very much exists. It's simply a matter of creating a new environment that promotes healing instead of medicine.
Wow. Yeah, I call those doctors service to self. I worked in the medical industry for many, many years. And what I found out is allopathic medicine, which was started by the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, basically started by the cabal. A lot of those doctors do not become doctors because they want to cure or heal anyone. They become doctors because they make a lot of money, or they become doctors because their father was a doctor, their grandfather was a doctor. It's a family thing, or their parents say, we're sending you to medical school. We want you to be a doctor. So a lot of them, the doctors who I consider true healers are the naturopathic and holistic doctors, the MDs who practice what's called functional medicine. That means they get to the root cause of your illness, and then they try to actually cure whatever you have. They try to treat, to cure you, not with drugs, with like holistic medicine and stuff like that. Those are the true healers. And those are the doctors who are service to humanity. They became doctors because they want to actually heal people. The people like your plastic surgeons, and some of these other doctors, well, just a lot of the surgeons, honestly, it's all about the money, kind of thing. I've met a couple surgeons who became surgeons because and you got to realize that this is coming from me working with hundreds of doctors, over the last year. So I watch their personality, I get to know them, I observe them. I'm not like judging them without knowing. Okay. So I've gotten to know these doctors, and what I have seen is if you take a sampling of all of these surgeons and allopathic doctors, huge percentage of them got into the business either because of their family made them do it, or because of money. It had nothing at all to do with service to humanity. And then you have a small portion of those doctors that became a doctor because they wanted to help people. Maybe their mom died of cancer or something, and they're like, when I grow up, I'm going to be a doctor, so I can save people from cancer. But a lot of those doctors, and here's what's really sad, those doctors who do have a big heart, who are allopathic and want to cure humanity, they get in and they find out they can't. And they're really unhappy. And I actually was known as the healer to the doctors. I had a healing and stress management business, and I would go speak at medical conferences all over the United States. 90% of physicians and nurses have burnout. They're burned out, and they get burned out in medical school by their allopathic cabal-run, big pharma-run medical school. They're burned out there. Then they start a practice, and then the burnout gets worse and worse and worse. The ones who are true humanitarians who want to help people, they're the ones who are the most burned out. The ones who don't give a heck and they just want lots of money, they may have some minute burnout, but they don't really care because they're just in it for the money. But the ones who have what we call compassion fatigue, because they're really, really compassionate about people, but they can't do what they want to do to help people. Like they can't truly diagnose and treat people in a holistic manner. They get compassion fatigue and they burn out really, really, really fast. It's really sad.
Well, they've had to do where they have a front of being a particular type of doctor, but once you get into the office and you find out they have alternate services available, but they can't even market those because they will lose their medical licenses if they promote health and wellness.
Right. Yeah, I had a just to share a story with everybody because everybody needs to know this. I see naturopaths mostly, but every now and then I'll go see a regular mainstream doctor. And I had a family medicine doctor who was an MD who I went to see. And when I started telling her about what my naturopath was doing, she started going off, just yelling, naturopath this, naturopath that. And I'm like, why do you hate naturopaths so much? And she said, because your naturopath is allowed to teach you preventative medicine like diet and nutrition and herbal stuff and all of that. And she said, I'm not allowed to do it. She said, if I do that, I'll lose my license. And so she had a lot of animosity. And I felt like telling her, I didn't say anything to her, but I really felt inside like telling her, lady, you're the one who chose allopathic medicine. Why didn't you go to naturopathic medical school if you really feel this way? Because if she really feels bad that she can't help people, instead of having animosity, she had so much anger and animosity against the healer doctors. It's like, instead of having that, why don't you do something about it? Go back to school again and be trained as a naturopath. I had another MD that I worked with for many years. She kind of felt the same way, but she didn't have the animosity. She went back to naturopathic college and she became both a naturopath and an MD. And now she does all the holistic stuff. So she has her MD degree and she is a naturopath. And honestly, if they really wanted to make this legit, they should take every MD on the planet and train them in natural medicine. The ones who actually care about serving humanity. Now, the ones who don't care about serving humanity, if you told them they had to go get trained to actually heal people, they'd probably run the other way because they don't want to help people. But the ones who are actually here to serve humanity, they would jump at the chance to get retrained to actually cure and heal people. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, for me, because I do energy healing, I work with pure energy when I do healing on people. So, but I sometimes see like there's deficiencies like iron, calcium, other kinds of things, zinc. So I say, or somebody needs a liver detox or a kidney detox. I suggest to them, well, it's good to see a naturopath. It's good to work with homeopathic remedies. Consider homeopathy as well. And I know my homeopath is in British Columbia, but he has his own lab. So he creates high vibrational homeopathic remedies and he sends it all over the world. He has clients all over the world. So even if you're not local, you could still do a session with him online and receive the help that you need in balancing your body. So as we were just talking about med beds and homeopathy, the live feed just glitched out for a second there. So I think there was some interference. Just when you start these topics, you get interfered with. So we had like a second where we were discussing that homeopathy and naturopaths should be in every doctor's office. That's when it glitched out. I noticed
the dark side is listening in, eh?
Yeah, just glitched out on Kimberly, like boom. So I had to restart the feed again because it was just like interfering with you. It wouldn't allow you to speak.
Tell the Sith Lords to go pound sand. Honestly, they're messing. We have the Sith Lords messing with us. They can go pound sand. In fact, I'm going to invite Archangel Michael to please come in here and be our referee here to keep all of the Sith Lords away from our feed. Keep them away from our feed. So
yeah, there's nothing wrong with the internet. I see it's fine. So it's just like, I think
my internet's fine.
Yeah, mine too. When the subject matter becomes a bit like this, it might interrupt. So there was another question. What is 2021? What is this the year of? This is for everybody.
Victoria, I think you should go on that. The year.
Yeah, so we have entered the new Earth reality. Yeah, and which is, the age of Aquarius. It became anchored in on 12/21/20. And this year is a year of, actually part of the message that came in this morning, and I had heard this also a month or so ago, is that it's the beginning of the end of the old world. So we will start to see a lot of the old systems start to collapse. Now, we have known for a while that all of our systems needed to be restructured. Anyone who's been paying attention has known for quite a while that all of our systems need to be restructured. My understanding is that what happened in 2020, it was kind of like the big pause button between the old world and the new world, and all of this stuff started to be brought to the surface so that more people could see that just how interesting, the word I'm hearing is depraved our systems have become, and that starting this year, we're going to start seeing them collapse. So I think that's also why I was hearing Archangel Fanuel coming in so strongly beginning the last couple of weeks, because the destruction that's going to start happening this year. Mm-hmm. It is as the old systems start collapsing, we are kind of getting ahead of the game and creating new ones through co-operations and alliances like we're having here, which is what Sherri was saying earlier about no competition. In this new world, we're creating competition doesn't even exist. Mm-hmm. We're creating alliances and co-operations, and through cooperation and through alliance, we are going to create an entirely new world as the old competition-based structures start collapsing. So for people who haven't been paying attention and don't know what is going on, it is going to be really frightening. And it's going to require enough of us who really know that in anything that is birthed out of, yeah, so I'm getting the visual of the phoenix, right? The phoenix turns into nothing but ashes before it emerges as something entirely new. The butterfly has to completely break down from being a caterpillar or go through its nothing soup before it becomes a butterfly. We are in that process. So 2021 is the beginning of the transition process out of the old world and into the new worlds. And when enough of us realize, oh, that's what this is, we are recreating our entire world. The collapse has to happen in order for this new world to be birthed through it. So that's what I see happening beginning in 2021. And I think a lot of disclosure is going to start happening. We might see some more civil unrest in other countries around the world where the people are starting to rise up, because people are rising up in consciousness. That might look like physical uprising as well. It might involve the planet herself doing a little bit of uprising through like earthquakes and fires and things like that. So I think we're going to see some unrest moving forward, and understand not to be in fear of it, but understand that as part of the process that has to occur. I've been calling it the breakdown before the breakthrough for years, and what it feels like for me is the beginning of the end of the breakdown. And the breakthroughs have already started occurring.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I really agree with what you're saying. And I come up with two words that I've been saying a lot recently is healing and transformation. Is really what's happening. I think a lot of people are going to be healing this year and really releasing traumas and really embracing the ascension. And through that process, this beautiful transformation is going to occur for those that are ready and willing, and for those that are not, this year will look very different for them. But for those that are ready and willing to and ready to embrace it, it's going to be a beautiful thing. But with healing, there's challenging. There are challenges that come with that as well, and so it could look different for different people. But my book, Intuitive Transformation Evolution, that's a lot of what that it's about. It's about tapping into your intuition and releasing and healing. And through that process, there's a transformation that occurs. And then the evolution part about that is discovering this new world that you have discovered for yourself and created and manifested for yourself. And so I think it's a lot about healing and transformation, for sure.
I agree with both of what both of you guys. In fact, over a year ago, I was getting messages, more than a year ago, I was getting messages from Yeshua where he was telling me 3 times in a row, he said, the world you've known is about to die, is what he told me. And then he said, I'm resurrecting a new heavenly kingdom, or kingdom of heaven on earth, is what he said. Second time, he told me very soon there's going to be much more heaven on earth. And then the third time he said the meek will inherit the earth and all the evil ones are going to be leaving. And then he showed me how they're leaving and what was going to happen to their souls. And he explained to me that that the book of Revelations was all wrong, and it was all completely changed around by the cabal, and that the stuff about, so many Christians are going to be taken up and away, and then there's going to be this Armageddon and all that. That was actually all cabal plans that they had. They had planned for that to go down that way. They had planned it out a long time ago, but that's not going to happen. It's actually all of the good people get to stay here on beautiful Mother Gaia, which this is one of the most beautiful gems in all of space and time. All of the ETs from all around, think that Gaia is just beautiful. They all want to be here. And we get to inherit this planet, and all of the evil, dark entities, all of the dark ETs, the archons, the demonics, the bad humans that are just bad are all going to be going bye-bye this year. And what I was shown is by the end of 2021, everybody who is going to wake up will be woke, and the rest of the people will be leaving basically through death. They're going to go through the jabs, or they're going to go through the COVID or heart attack or stroke or this or that or whatever. And there's many reasons for that. And one thing that's important for everyone who's watching this video to understand is that there's three types of souls that are here on earth right now. We have human mortal souls who have never been anywhere other than earth. Okay. Since God created their soul, because God created their soul, put them into a body, they came to earth. They were in lockdown because they had this whole planet in a lockdown matrix for 12,000 to 14,000 years. Those souls went into a phantom or false heaven, which is like a purgatory when they would die, and they were stuck in this purgatory. And then they would get recycled into a wheel of samsara where they had these suffering contracts. So they'd come back over and over as like poor nomads that get slaughtered, or people whose village gets burned down, or women who are raped and pillaged over and over. It was the same thing over and over and over again, because the reptilians feed off that energy. The Draco and the Orions and all those negative ETs, they feed off the suffering, the fear, the death, sexual energy, all that kind of stuff. They feed off of that. Those people would keep getting recycled over and over. A lot of those souls that have been stuck here for thousands of years that are human, they're very tired and they really want to go home, and they're ready to go to heaven. They're ready to go back home. And so a lot of them are leaving in mass droves this year. There's going to be a lot of death, unfortunately. There's going to be a lot. By the end of 2021, the world population will be a lot smaller. And then there's people who are going because they're not nice. They're density people, and they're going to be going. And then there's people who just aren't ready to wake up, or they're not ready to ascend yet. And they'll go to heaven for a while. They'll get some rehabilitation, and then they'll go to other third density planets where they can continue their schooling and learning until they're ready to ascend, and they're ready to do that. So by the end of this year, everybody who's going to be awake is going to be woke, basically. A year and a half ago, what Yeshua told me was that everything was going to collapse. He said all of the governments were going to collapse. All of the education systems were going to collapse. All the financial systems were going to collapse. All the religion, the three major religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, were all going to collapse, because those three religions were created to separate humanity. They were created by the Cabal, and it was all about separation and war, creating wars and money and land, and just all kinds of terrible reasons why they did that. And so those religions are going to collapse. Eventually, there's going to be one world religion, which is, I call it love, unconditional love, because that's what fifth density is, and that's what God is. God is unconditional love. I wrote an entire chapter in my book all about what God really is, and people don't understand. God's not this God that sits there and judges you and asks you to sacrifice your child to him and blows up a city. God doesn't destroy. God doesn't kill. God doesn't ask you to sacrifice your child. Those are all demonic entities that do stuff like that. God is just unconditional love. And Yeshua Christ came to this planet to teach everybody to have a personal relationship with our Father, Mother, God that created our soul. We're supposed to, each and every one of us, have that relationship. And the Cabal has gone out of their way to separate us from God to make us think that we have to have a priest, a rabbi, or an imam to intervene between us and God, which is not true. You can go to God all day long, anytime. We're not separate from God. God is always with us. Christ has a fractal that he put into each one of our hearts when he ascended into heaven. So he's always with us. He said he'd always be with us. And that's because he put a fractal of himself into all of humanity. And he's not going to come back. Everybody thinks he's going to come back this year. He's not going to come into a human body, because if he does, they'll just get killed over and over again. Because when you're in this vehicle, I call this my vessel, my Mercedes Benz or my Chevy, whatever car, you know, you're a soul and you have this body and you drive it around, you know, it's basically your vehicle here to learn on earth, because we're in a big college classroom. And the thing is that if Christ comes into another vehicle like we have, he can be slaughtered in 5 seconds. So why would he do that? He left a part of him within us. People think that he left and he hasn't been here, but that's not true. He's always been here. And he said he has always been here. And so by the end of this year, especially by June, we're going to start to see the more heavenly earth start to form that Christ has promised us. We're going to start to see that. And it's just going to keep collapsing over the next 3 years. Everything's going to collapse, and get rebuilt in a way that's going to be peace on earth, brother and sisterhood. You know, we're all one, we're all unified, we're all connected. You know, who cares what color you are? That's not what matters. What matters is what's inside your heart. And that's where the world is going to be heading. No more of this racism garbage, no more of this, you know, so-and-so lives matter. It's, you know, everybody, every human, every living thing matters, every animal matters, you know, and that is what we're headed towards is all life matters. And we're heading in that direction, because all of those other things were created to tear us apart and separate us and create duality and have us fighting and tearing each other down all the time. Women competing against women and men competing against men and everyone competing against each other. You're going to start to see this, all of these systems that were created literally just over the next 3 years, completely disintegrating and being rebuilt. Like you said, Phoenix from the ashes. Mm-hmm. Totally. You know, everything's going to turn to ashes, and then this beautiful new world is going to rise out of that. And it's going to be awesome. And I'm excited to be here.
Oh, that's beautiful. I think those are all the questions that we had. We did have another question. Somebody asks, who's making the med beds? What are the companies, the factories? Honestly, it's all classified, so I don't think we can really answer that one. Who's making them? Because again, they're not publicly available right now as of this moment. Perhaps they will be. We'll see how that turns out. But we can't really say who makes them, right?
I want to add one thing really quick on to what Sherri said about what to expect this year, because I've been seeing this very clearly as well, is that starting in this year and moving forward, every person who has had their healing gifts activated, and we've been practicing on each other for the last 10 years, those of us who have those gifts will be called upon to start healing the masses. Mm-hmm. So that's why we woke up early. That's why we had these gifts activated years ago, so that we can help the rest of humanity as the systems start to collapse. And as people start to wake up, they're going to need to have their hearts healed and their energy healed. So it's a tremendous opportunity for the light workers who already have those gifts and know about them to then be using those gifts to their maximum potential.
Absolutely.
I'd like to add to that too, because it's kind of a big announcement, is I am teaching a workshop that's called Energy Medicine or Energy Healing Basics Workshop, where I go over every type of energy medicine known to man. And this is a workshop that is to teach anyone who wants to learn how to heal themselves or heal other people, where they can go and learn about all of the 8 types of hands-on the 8 major types of energy medicine, which is like sound medicine, the hands-on kind of energy healing, crystal healing, equipment, using specific devices and equipment for healing. Basically going to be covering every type of energy medicine that you could possibly even think of. I mean, there's even cards that have sacred geometry on them that you can use for energy healing. So I'm going to be covering all those. I'm going to be teaching people some basic energy skills using Qigong energy healing. and they're going to basically leave with their brain filled with everything they could possibly need to know to either go be certified as an energy healer in some. So I'm not going to be certifying anyone in a particular modality. I'm going to be going over every type of modality so that people understand what are all the benefits, what are all the bad things, the good things, and they can discern, well, what type of these tools would I like to use for myself? What type of tools would I like to use to heal my family or my neighbors, or, you know, or as a business, you know, what do I want to go get certified in? Because there's literally, I think I came up with 20 types of hands-on healing modalities. You got shamanism, you've got Qigong, you've got Reiki, you've got, I mean, just so many different types of modalities. And it's overwhelming if somebody has never ever done energy healing before in their life, or they don't know anything about it. If they go out on the internet, they're going to get lost in a cesspool of garbage, because the internet is just overwhelmed with millions of websites about this stuff. And how do you discern? So one of the things in the class that you're going to learn is you're going to learn, how do I discern what type of energy medicine is best for me? What type of energy medicine is best for other people? And what happens if you go to an energy healer and you don't heal? What does that mean? And why did you not heal? I'm going to be really getting into the deep, kind of go down the rabbit hole of why people don't receive healing when they do energy healing. What blocks that? What causes that? And what to do about it? So basically, this is like it's the most comprehensive energy medicine class that, put it this way, I searched the internet, nobody's teaching what I'm teaching. I mean, I'm teaching everything, and only because I've been studying this stuff for 35 years of my life. So I've taken all of my knowledge that I've learned from the last 35 years. I'm 55 now. I started studying this when I was 20. I've taken all 35 years of that and put that into this workshop that I'm teaching. So
sounds really wonderful, Kimberly.
Yeah. And they can find that on my website, which is spiritualgrowthjourneys.com.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wonderful. I have another question. They're asking, I was looking into the Tesla healing containers. Any input on that, ladies?
Tesla healing containers. I've never heard of them, so I don't know.
I have heard of them, but I don't know that much about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend that was telling me about them. The machine itself is incredibly expensive. That I do know.
Yeah.
If I had a healing center, I would put one of them in my center.
Yeah, honestly, I'd have to see it and try it out to say anything about it. I don't know. Tesla has a lot of different technology, like the cars, the nacelles, it has so much technology. It's really, when it's out in the public and when people are using it, that's when you'd really know if it works or not, to answer that question. The other question we had is, are the Taygeta Pleiadians, are they good ETs or bad ETs? This is for everyone.
What are they called? The Taygeta Pleiadians? Because I just know Pleiadians. I've never heard the term Taygeta, so.
I'm not familiar either, so I can't answer that.
So I will tell you that most of the Pleiadians are good. Okay. They came back here purposely to help us with this whole ascension process. They're not here just for the fun of it. They're here helping us. However, there is a small amount of them that have gone to the dark side. It's kind of like the movie Star Wars. I always tell people the movie Star Wars is a documentary. Okay. That stuff's always been going on. We're the light workers. We're the Jedi, right? Victoria, we're totally, and Sherri, we are all the Jedi, you know? So the thing is that there's always, it's the same with all races of beings in space and on Earth, that you're always going to have, what is it? I think it's like 3% or so that are going to be really, evil or bad or something, and the rest are good. So you're going to have that small percent of the population that are not good. They're bad. So I would say the majority of the Pleiadians are good, because I have one on my guidance team. I have a team of 12 guides, and one of them is a Pleiadian. So he's nice. He doesn't ever tell me anything bad.
Yeah. So. Okay. And then we have another question, last question for Sherri. Can you please repeat what is the name of your book?
It's Intuitive Transformation Evolution.
Okay. And Victoria, what's one of the names of your books?
I have a free book on my website right now called Rise Up. It's a simplified guide to the Great Awakening, the Ascension, and Spiritual Revolution. And the reason I wrote this book is there's an entire chapter that's dedicated to understanding the terminology that's floating around right now. And I am offering it for free. And then on my website, which is victoriareynolds.com, you'll see my other books and my other programs and things that I have going on there.
Awesome. And Kimberly, what's your book again? What's the name?
My book is Ascension 101, a roadmap for your soul, and it's on Amazon worldwide. So no matter what country you're in, you can buy it, and it's on Kindle and print version as well.
Awesome. And my book is Crystal Grids, The Art of Healing with Crystals, and it teaches you everything about crystal healing, what crystals are, how to work with crystals, meditation, manifestation, also worldwide on Amazon. In print and in PDF through my website. Ladies, so how can people contact you to help with anything to help them, to guide them?
Well, I have two websites. So intuitivewellnesscenter.com is my main website where I do virtual learning classes and intuitive energy healing. And the other one is divinelyguidedchildren.com. And that's where they can find out information about the children's classes.
Wonderful. Victoria?
It's Victoria at victoriareynolds.com.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best way to get in touch with me.
And Kimberly?
My contact form on my website, which is spiritualgrowthjourneys with an s.com. I have a contact form, and I also on my private sessions page, it lists out all my services that I offer people. And then I have a classes page that has my energy medicine workshop on it.
Awesome. And my website is Messages from a Star Traveler. If people have questions or they want to ask something, they can just find me on the internet and just directly to the website, not the Facebook group. That one is more for just public things that people post. But if it's something of a personal nature, Messages from a Star Traveler, the website, that's the best way I can be reached. This was wonderful. I'm so happy all of you were able to join today, and I think we had quite a round table.
That was fun.
Yeah. Thank you. It was fun. I am honored to be amongst all three of you because all three of you are just beautiful soul sisters and light workers, and you're all serving the planet with all your knowledge and wisdom. And I'm just honored to be in your presence. So I just wanted to tell you that. So I'm grateful to be here.
Me too. Well, thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. So I think we covered a lot.
We did. We sure did. Maybe we could do it again.
Yeah, I think we should, definitely.
I would love to do this, regularly, giving help to people and maybe even giving them tips, just to help them daily to make it through all of the insanity that's going to be happening this year, because it's going to be very traumatic for a lot of people. So if we can help as many people as possible, just giving them daily tips on how to survive, survival skills, I think that would be great.
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
and for the kids, for Sherri, because Sherri teaches the kids, you're working with kids, and there's a lot of my clients who ask me questions about what do I do with my psychic kid, so just having those tips for people on how to navigate the ascension with your children. I think that's important.
Yeah.
I think we should do that for the next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Perfect. Oh, thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all.
I look forward to seeing you soon.
Same here.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.